Last month, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, sent federal employees into Minneapolis and St. Paul to conduct their own investigation.
We have boots on the ground in Minnesota, and through our fraud prevention, we have found that there is likely over $84 million in eligible assistance that was given to the state of Minnesota.
If you're a U.S. taxpayer, will you please forward this video or repost it and send it to everyone you know? And the reason I'm asking you to do that is because I know we're all seeing all of these protests, and these protests are happening in cities that are being investigated now from stealing money from you and from all U.S. taxpayers. And so they have this diversion out here now. They think because they can go out there and burn down their cities, you know, they've burned their cities before, that all of us U.S. taxpayers are supposed to forget what they did. And no, we're not forgetting. We're not forgetting that you have stolen over $20 billion just in the last year or so from U.S. taxpayers.
Hey guys, Robert here. Welcome back to the channel. I can't say I disagree with what she's saying and the tone in which she's speaking. Very disturbing, to say the least. There's a lot of fraud going on, and I'll say this. I'm not one that's ever going to take lightly anyone losing their lives. But what are these folks protesting for? That's what I'm trying to figure out. If you pay taxes at all, this should be very concerning to you, because if these numbers are accurate, and I think they're low, just imagine how much money is being stolen across the country. There are those of you out there that come from the mindset that, well, this person is doing it, so this instance is justified. It's all wrong. And it hurts a lot of you out there. This is one of the reasons that rents are up. If you're on any of these social services, a lot of the elders can't get these services. You bring a lot of people over here for purposes of work and employment or growing your population, but the majority of the money that they make doesn't match what they take. And then those of you that have been here, you can't get the help, not lifetime benefit, help that's needed because of things like this. Tell me what I'm getting wrong. What's the protest for? This isn't an injustice about civil rights or something of that nature. This was a spotlight put on people that have been stealing for years. And this goes back over several administrations. They all are complicit. This might be one of the reasons you can't get your student loans forgiven. You worried about the Ukraine and some of these other places. How about right here in your own backyard? Hi, my name is Robert, and on this channel, we simplify the home loan process.
When I say taxpayers, I'm talking about the people that work in restaurants, that work for Walmart, that work for Amazon, that are accountants, that are teachers, that are preachers, that are just regular working Americans. The money that you stole came from all of us. And we're not forgetting, we're not forgiving you just because you are now trying to use something as a diversion. That diversion is not working. And now to our federal agencies that are supposed to be investigating, and you're supposed to be taking them to trial and incarcerating them, we are saying to you, do your jobs. Do not let this diversion, these diversions that they're doing with all of their protests, keep you from investigating them for stealing from U.S. taxpayers. And it was nothing but theft. I don't care what they say, how they wrap it up and package it so that everybody can forget. Don't forget it. And please make sure that you continue with your investigations, not just investigations, but incarcerations as well. We work too hard. Just think, the average American is going to work over 40 hours a week, just so that we can barely be able to pay our utility bills, barely be able to buy homes, or even rent an apartment. This is U.S. taxpayers. So to all of these people that are out here protesting, we're not moved. Look at my face. I'm not moved by your antics, because you realize that what you're doing is you're trying to keep federal agents from arresting people who are doing things that they should not be doing. And then you're now trying to cause a diversion so that all of us will forget about it. I say to our Attorney General, Pam Bundy, to the U.S. attorneys in that area, and everybody else, do your jobs. And America stands with you, because America is tired of people stealing our tax dollars just so they can become wealthy.
The Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, was out there in Minneapolis holding a press conference breaking down how he's doing this investigation of all the fraud in Minnesota. Check this out.
The Minnesota government was unwilling to do. And here, would you care to speculate whether it was negligence or corruption or some toxic cocktail of both?
So Governor Walz is on record as saying that organized crime caused the fraud in Minnesota. He never got specific, but he did admit to knowing about the fraud in 2020. He's on record as saying that. And I'm telling you, when this next video comes out, it's going to be World War III.
I find myself in an unusual position of agreeing with Governor Walz. It was undoubtedly organized crime. What we were seeing, and this is what Treasury does, successfully tracked and prosecuted the mafia. We have successfully tracked and prosecuted the Mexican cartels. And this is organized crime within the Somali community. So he is right. This is an organized criminal enterprise. We will get to the bottom of it. And thank you for
The Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, seemed like he's not playing. Like, they have forensic investigators on this, like IRS investigators just collecting all this information and tracing where the money is going. And he's treating this like organized crime. People want immediate consequences, immediate outcomes. But this is going to take a long time. Just how he explained they took down the cartel and all these other criminal organizations. But it was a process. And it seemed like this is going to be a long process.
They talking that RICO talk. Organized crime. Crazy work. If you are honest with yourself, this thing runs deep. I don't know. No disrespect to you guys. If you really knew how to run the play, as they say, gotta be some other folks on the back end. I'm just sitting back watching, man. And the thing is this. All of you folks talking about I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, man, these folks are stealing. This stuff has been going on for years, and your taxes keep going up. My taxes keep going up, and they want you to look at these other countries, certain people on one side of the aisle or the other, diversionary tactics. That's what I want to speak on. All of these diversionary tactics, this has been happening for years, 20 plus years. Okay. And so if you're going to come over here and get into the system, you got to play the game, right? Let me ask you this for you sympathizers. Do you think you could go to Somalia, you and your group, set up shop, do what you wanted to do, take the money and then send it back home? You think that would go down? What other country on the planet can you do that in? I'm curious. A lot of you got a lot to say, but I think it's because you don't pay any taxes. See, you complicit. You want to get down with the send me a check, not knowing that's putting you more and more in bondage. You see what I'm saying? Another thing that I want to throw out there to maybe prevent someone from doing the wrong thing. President Biden, before he got out of there, signed the PPP and Bank Fraud Enforcement Harmonization Act of 2022. Here's the gist of it. It extended the statute of limitation for prosecuting Paycheck Protection Program, PPP fraud, from 5 years to 10 years, giving federal agencies more time to investigate and bring charges for pandemic-related fraud. There was a lot of fraud going on in the pandemic. Lots of money was wasted. This is why a lot of your stuff is high. Groceries, rent, housing. It's called inflation. They just printed this money, and a lot of thieves have come in and stolen your purchasing power. My purchasing power, because I pay taxes. You feel me? I'm just trying to be level-headed during this video, because I know ultimately nothing I could do about it. When it's judgment day, we all gonna get what we deserve. Again, I'm going to ask in this segment, why are they protesting? I don't get it. I don't get it. Maybe you guys can help me out. Now, as the first lady stated, this fraud is rampant, and I believe it's in more than one state. Let's go to one of the biggest states that a lot of people love. They said it never rains in Southern California. That may be true. But I know they stealing out there hand over fist.
I am not kidding when I tell you I choked when I saw this on X. Benny Johnson had said, fraud investigation announcement. Next week, our team is traveling to the fraud capital of the world, California. The fraud uncovered in Minnesota was very bad and led to the destruction of Tim Walz's career. But Gavin Newsom's California is far worse. The American taxpayer needs to see firsthand how criminal California fraud is robbing our nation blind. He talks about how the state auditor found $70 billion in taxpayer funds that had been lost, $24 billion spent on non-existent homelessness programs, $18 billion poured into non-existent high-speed rail, $32 billion COVID relief funds stolen, $2.5 billion lost to SNAP fraud, and billions spent on rebuilding after the Palisades fire. No homes were rebuilt. And instead of addressing the fraud that Benny Johnson had pointed out, Governor Newsom's press office X account had said, "We'll make sure Grindr servers are ready." And Benny Johnson went off. He said, "Hi, Gavin. So your response to evidence of mass fraud in California is to accuse me of cheating on my wife? I have never cheated on my wife. We've been together for nearly 20 years. Gavin, you cheated on your wife with your secretary who is married to your best friend and campaign manager. You admitted all of this publicly. Yikes. Also, didn't your current wife work for Harvey Weinstein? What about your favorite donor, Ed Buck? Don't look into that one. Yeah, you should sit this one out."
At the end of the day, it's all one big reality show. You know what they say, birds of a feather flock together. But it's not a laughing matter. People are getting fed up. Folks can't afford things. That said, I'm optimistic in this. We need to occupy until he returns. And if you know who I'm talking about. If you're one that sees all of this going on as an opportunity for you to get onto the housing ladder, and that's something that you want to do, well, I'm a lender. My NMLS license number is 180100, and I'd love to have a conversation with you to see if we're a fit. My contact information is in the description of the video below. My time is up, but I thank you for yours. As I always say, let's be good to one another. Let grace abound. Watch these next 2 videos. They'll help you on your journey. And until the next time, indeed, y'all stay blessed.